Okay, there are a ton of manga coming out in 2025, and I have curated a list of 20 that really excite me and that I'm looking forward to coming out. Let me know down below, what is your most anticipated manga coming out in 2025? Alright, and with that being said, let's kick this video off. Remember to like the video down below, it really does help support this channel. And if you're new around here, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss when I upload next. We are on the road to 50K. Before we get into the first series, really quickly, we're going to be talking about prices for all 20 of the manga titles here, and all of these prices will be based off of American Amazon prices. However, this is my PSA for the entire video. If you can, try to go support your local bookstore. They really do need our help. Okay, if you're like me, I don't like waiting, all right? Especially when it comes down to really cool manga titles, all right? And waiting for the release. Series number 1, technically, comes out at the very end of December. And I wanted to add this series and one more, simply because videos like this always leave me impatiently waiting for really cool series that are going to come out. I've been looking forward to this title releasing. I've heard good things, I've heard some dark things, but let's talk about Ashita no Joe Fighting for Tomorrow. The publisher is Vertical, which is great. It's going to be around $55. It's going to be a hardcover, and it comes out on December 24th, just before Christmas. Now, $55 might seem like a solid chunk of money, and it definitely is. That's expensive, especially for a manga series, but these are 3-in-1 hardcovers that will be, I think, around 580 pages. So you are going to get a solid chunk of content, but if you want to wait for them to go on sale or for a few of them to come out, I wouldn't blame you. That's exactly what I'm going to be doing myself. It's also important to note that this series has a massive cult following because it's been around for a while. It's a boxing series that's been out since it finished in 1973. Let's just say that. And I hope a ton of us check this one out because I love when older series get some spotlight like this. Like I mentioned before, this is a boxing series. It starts off with that trope where we have an orphan that is getting bullied, so they sort of learn how to fight but end up being a delinquent themselves. Our main character also goes to prison, so this is going to be nothing like your Hajime no Ippo. In fact, I think it's going to be much darker. It's probably going to be a lot more violent, which I'm all on board for. Our next one is a trip, and pun intended, and you'll see why in a second. It's called Ultra Heaven. The publisher is Last Gasp. Say that one 5 times fast. I had to do this take like 4 times. It'll be just shy of 200 pages, and it'll come out on December 20th. It's looking like it's gonna be a paperback, and it will be around 25 bucks. I haven't read a series like this for a while. Let's talk about the premise, which is wild. Our series takes place in the future where we can now physically manipulate our mood through a process called pumping. People will now go into these places called pumping bars where doctors or medical professionals will sit down with you and essentially mix up a big pharma cocktail to physically alter your mood to whichever mood you want. There is some social commentary happening right there. And of course, our main character has done this to the point where his tolerance is so high, the average dose just doesn't cut it anymore, and he needs more. So what does that mean? It means he needs to find other ways to get his fix, and then that's gonna lead to a black market of sorts. This is going to be a trippy sci-fi, very heavy on the social commentary manga with very unique art. This is a new publisher. I haven't read a series like this in a while. It is a little expensive for 200 pages, I will say that, but it is a new publisher. I've never heard it before. Maybe the quality is crazy. I'm very interested in this. Whether I buy it physically or digitally, I'll let you guys know, but I will read this sometime in 2025. Okay, we are finally into series that are coming out properly in next year, and this next one has me very hype. This is the one I've seen the most buzz for. Maybe this one I've seen the most buzz for. Anyways, let's talk about The Climber. The publisher is Viz, 450 pages. It's definitely gonna be a chunky boy. A thrilling series about climbing, solo climbing, and I'm sure this is going to be one of those educational series as well. We're gonna learn a lot about the sport or the activity of climbing, especially outdoor climbing. Now, I personally have never climbed outside, especially with like all the gear and the equipment and the chalk on the hands. I've never done any of that. I'm assuming we're gonna learn a lot about that in this manga, but that's something beautiful that I do enjoy about reading manga. We get to learn about all of these other activities and get motivated to maybe even try them. And let me know down below if you've read a manga and been inspired and maybe have tried the hobby, sport, or activity that manga was about. The story follows our high school transfer student who finds climbing as a place to just be alone from the crazy high school life, which then leads him to develop a deep passion for climbing itself. Now, through a series of events, he tastes a bit of success because there was a bet between him and his classmate. Basically, it was a race to the top of the school's roof, which he won. After winning said bet, he now sets his sights on an actual physical peak that even experienced climbers deem dangerous. And this is just the beginning of the story, okay? I have a feeling we're gonna see this inexperienced climber be super motivated, have to overcome all of the trials of nature and just simply trying to climb a legit mountain, and it's gonna be very dangerous. I have a feeling this is gonna be really good, especially from the art that I've seen so far. I am very excited for the climber. I've literally heard nothing but good things about this series. I'm definitely collecting this one. Oh, I forgot to mention, it comes out on April 15th in 2025. The next title coming out is a massive fantasy gothic series that is getting a collector's edition called, hopefully I'm saying this right, called Rosen Maiden. This is actually being put out by Tokyo Pop, so that's pretty cool. Now, our story follows a young boy who really isn't all that ambitious. In fact, he's pretty much a complete shut-in and 100% addicted to the internet. I mean, kind of like a lot of Now, in this world and series, there are legendary dolls created by a doll master called Rosen. And these dolls are called the legendary Rosen dolls. And of course, they come to life and their sole objective is to actually duke it out in like a tournament style setting. And the winner gets to meet the father or the creator, Rosen, of the dolls. And of course, our basically shut-in main character, through a series of events, will come across one of these dolls, and that's when the story sort of starts and the mystery begins to unravel. He gets to learn about all of this stuff. This is gonna be very interesting, and the art itself looks very unique for this one. Let me know if you're interested on this one down below, and let's quickly move on. Series number 5 is Sugar Sugar Rune. Now, in this ever-changing world in the manga industry, and there's always delays and uncertainty, this series seems to have gotten the runaround quite a few times. But there is a very high likely chance that this will be coming out in 2025, and this series will be put out by Udon Entertainment. Sugar Sugar Rune has 8 volumes out in Japan. Essentially, to compete to become the Witch Queen, 2 young candidates have to go to Earth and basically get dudes in a high school to fall in love with them. You can see how this is going to get incredibly messy. There's going to be love triangles, there's going to be drama, love interests, and of course a whole magical world that is built out. Now, because Udon Entertainment are such good friends of the channel, I will ask for a copy when it does get released, and I'll show you guys, whether it be on Instagram or Twitter, so you can follow me down below, and of course those links will be in the description box. The next series we're going to be talking about is one, and you guys know me, I'm not like the biggest horror fan of manga like out there, the horror manga fan, I should say, but this one has definitely piqued my interest, all right? It's literally taking place in Los Angeles. When does that ever happen? That's so cool. I don't live in Los Angeles anymore. However, that was home for quite a long time. This is cool. Let's talk about Pet Shop of Horrors. The collector's edition is releasing in 2025. Comes out in February, 304 pages, and it'll be around 25 bucks. As the title says, there is a mysterious little pet shop in Los Angeles in Chinatown, which is awesome. And the dude who runs the store in Chinatown is literally named the Count D, which that alone is like super LA, man. Now, the Count welcomes the lonely, abandoned, the wounded, or people just feeling down into the shop, and he claims to sell basically what we're all looking for. Manga on sale. I mean, love, hope, emotions like that. However, all of these come in the form or representation of fantastical magical beasts. And each of these magical beasts come with a contract set with basically a certain set of rules. Now comes the cool part, all right? There's a detective. Of course, there's a detective who is on the case of a bunch of unsolved mysteries in the city, and all roads lead back to this shop, specifically to the Count. Yo, sign me up. This sounds so freaking cool. I'm gonna be reading this one. Okay, so our next series I'm very much looking forward to, but I'm looking forward to not for me to collect, but for a bunch of new manga collectors coming into the community. Why? Because Hunter x Hunter is finally getting the 3-in-1 treatment. Now, personally, I would love to see Hunter x Hunter get a box set. Wouldn't that be, Viz, if you're watching this, please give us a box set. However, that being said, I think these 3-in-1s will be great for folks that are just getting into the series and just want to read Hunter x Hunter and they want to read it physically. They're looking to save some cash and they're looking to save some space on their shelves. Personally, I'm still going to go ahead and collect these singles. I have a handful already. So that's what I'm going to be doing, but I think this is great for newcomers into the community. Coming up next, we have Veil, The Temperature of Orange. This is another release from Udon Entertainment, which is great to see. The price will be around $15.99 and it'll be just shy of 130 pages. It will come out in March and apparently it will be totally in color, which is cool. Now the manga itself is slice of life centered and it's little moments in a timeline centered around a police officer and a blind woman. There's a really cool origin story here because this series started off on Twitter, I believe, or on other social websites and then eventually got picked up. So that's freaking awesome. The next title releasing is the Ayakashi Hunter's Tainted Bride. Kodansha, $13.99. 208 pages, so a good chunk of content. The story itself is from Webtoon, which is so cool to see Webtoon popping off, and it is really popping off. I remember seeing the building driving around LA back in the day when I used to live there. This is what sold me on it, okay? It's somewhat of like a sort of spicy historical fantasy romance. Oh, okay, where do I sign? You know, depending on the first volume, I'm gonna be reading all of this. That is without being said. Moving on to the next series, it is Ruri Dragon. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Ruri? The more I say it, and this is like several takes later, the worse it sounds in my head, but I think it's just Ruri Dragon. Put out by Viz, coming out in January. It's gonna be $11.99 with 171 pages. Comedy slice of life. The base premise, there's this girl that starts high school and it's crazy, it's chaotic, people are annoying, and the whole 9 yards that is 9th grade. In the midst of all of this, she suddenly starts to grow horns and finds out that she's a half dragon. The cool thing here is that she's not hiding it from everyone. She can't even, like, how would she hide it? So of course, all the classmates and everyone gets interested. It's gonna be chaotic. Sounds great. Comedy slice of life. Sign me up. Next is it's JoJo's Part 7. Steel Ball Run is getting the hardcover. This one and the next one might be the most anticipated releases of the year for a lot of you guys, aside from The Climber. For those of you that don't know, I have not, okay, please be kind in the comments, okay, be kind. I have not read or watched the JoJo's, and I promised I would, because I know it's gonna be a whole thing. I'm gonna do a big old video on it at 50K. So friendly reminder, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, help me get to 50K so I can finally start that giant endeavor. It's JoJo, so it's gonna be a hardcover. I don't know too much about the series, but I do know going into it that Steel Ball Run has a lot of hype for it. Also, Part 7, like how many parts are there gonna be? Is every part a different arc? Are there new characters? Is it all one coherent story? I have so many questions. Let me know, and I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of us. Are you hyped for this release or not? I have a feeling there's gonna be quite a few of us. And next, this is the one. Aside from Steel Ball Run and The Climber, this is the one right here that I see the most being talked about online, which is the Vagabond Deluxe editions. Oh my God. The amount of people that have asked if I'm getting this. insane. The amount of buzz on Twitter, insane. Instagram, insane. Just online in general, crazy. This is gonna do so well. And as someone that started Vagabond this year, I 100% understand. I get it. Why this is so cool. First of all, the series is phenomenal. Please read it if you can. And then if you can, that's the key word of that sentence, they're so hard to track down. Some of these these paperback omnibuses, okay, the one that's coming out now, the deluxe, it's a hardcover. These paperback omnis, the ones that I have and the ones that you probably have at home, they are so hard to track down some of those volumes. So it's really hard if you want to read this series physically and buy all of them new. So these deluxe editions are going to literally enable so many folks to collect this series in order and read it, all right? That is phenomenal. And I know a lot of us are even going to be double dipping. So we already have the paperback editions and you love this series so much, you're going to get the hardcover collectors or these deluxe editions. And I think that's great too. And like I mentioned before, it's going to be $50, all right? And it comes out in, where's in my notes? It comes out in January. Okay, I don't think I need to say any more. I think $50 might be a high price tag for a lot of us right now. So totally understand, wait for it to go on sale. But it is a hardcover, so even if they are on sale, probably won't drop too far from the initial MSRP, but I do recommend getting this because tracking down those single volumes, I'm a paperback junkie and I give up. Some of those volumes go for too much, so this is how I'm going to get Vagabond. Moving on to our next series, which is Ichi the Killer. Put out by 7 Seas, $27.99, 412 pages, and comes out in July. So right around my birthday. This is gonna be a pretty hype release too. This is the same author as Homunculus. Well-known author. There's going to be a fan base ready to welcome this series with open arms, which is, like I mentioned before, I love seeing that. The story essentially makes this timid, cowardly man, pushes him to the breaking point, and he becomes like this ruthless murderer, and then gets mixed up with the Yakuza, all right? So already, that's crazy. Personally, I'm curious to see how well this series does physically. Let me know if you're interested down below. And let's quickly move on, okay? This next title, I'm gonna butcher the name, and I apologize, but I believe it's Muhina or Mujina Into the Deep. Put out by Viz, it will be $17, 192 pages, and it comes out in February. And it's put out by your one and only Inio Asano. I mean, the premise is the premise is human rights or lack thereof. So in this story, human rights they're not a given, but they are for sale in this world, and it takes place like slightly in the future. So this is it's crazy. Inio Asano's crazy, man. So in this futuristic world, people without rights are called, I can't even say this name. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Mujina, maybe? Muhina? Something like that. And they basically have nowhere to belong and nowhere to live. Now the camera turns to our main character, and he simply just wants to live a quiet life, but ends up getting mixed up with an assassin, all right, who has no rights, all right, and a runaway child. Next series seems like one that I will pick up for a lighthearted laugh. And the premise is kind of funny, all right? And I've heard good things about it. Let's talk about Kindergarten Wars. Put out by Yen Press, $13, 208 pages, and comes out in May. Essentially, it's a rom-com, okay? It's a rom-com. The art is what initially caught my eye, and then I started looking into the series, and there's a lot of people saying really good things about Kindergarten Wars, so yeah, color me interested. It looks like a lighthearted, fun laugh, and that's sometimes exactly what I need. The premise is there's a kindergarten where a lot of the world's elite send their children to, and our main character is a teacher that protects, these children from like the would-be assassins of the world that are trying to get them. That alone is kind of dark, all right? But this lady has her priorities set, right? She wants to protect the kids, but is also looking for she's also looking for a boyfriend. So it's sort of like the Spy Family thing happening where, one day the assassin comes to the kindergarten, she protects the kids, but the assassin is like drop dead gorgeous. There's sparks flying in the air, but also there's like, like stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Like, is this right or is this wrong? I have a feeling it's gonna be funny. And once again, the art looks so cute. Coming up next, we have another series by Hiro Mashima, the creator of Fairy Tail, and I believe Eden Zero. Both series I have not checked out yet, but I just heard about him because if you don't know anything about me, I am a big enjoyer of like Harvest Moon, Rune Factory series, like cozy farming sims, stuff like that. And there was a cozy farming sim that just got announced where Mashima did the art style in it. So I've just been hearing about this guy left and right. Here we are with a new series called Dead Rock. Kodansha, $12, comes out in March in like 176 pages. I'll be the first to admit, I think there's gonna be a ton of people that are gonna dive into this series on day one. I mean, he has a massive fan base. However, I will not be a day one enjoyer. I still have to read Fairy Tail. And some of you guys have sent me Fairy Tail manga over the years. I need to read it. I will read it. I will watch it. Same with Eden Zero. So before I dive into his latest work, I'm gonna enjoy, Fairy Tail and Eden Zero first, okay? That's what I'm gonna do. But let me know what you are going to do and if you're gonna pick up Dead Rock when it comes out day one. I believe in, where are my notes here? In March. The next series we're going to be talking about is My Contract with the Apothecary Monster. Publisher is Love Love, which is an interesting name. 160 pages, $13.99, and it will come out in February. Okay, and here we have ourselves, it's an isekai. The main character, as in any proper isekai, gets transported into another world where monsters consume other people's lifespans, but that grants them certain wishes. And of course, there's going to be a monster who meets our MC who does not want to take any of her lifespan, and the budding romance begins, especially as they go off adventuring for a certain artifact. And that's sort of where the adventure begins. I haven't heard much about this series, but it was enough to pique my interest. I don't know if I will read it physically or digitally. I'll have to wait to see what folks are saying about it once it does come out. But I am interested, and I hope that you are too. Our next series is Colors of the End, Mission in the Apocalypse. It's put out by Yen Press, 224 pages, $15, and it will come out in January. This cover looks so freaking good. This series reminds me of, I don't think you guys can see it. It's all the way over here. I'm kind of looking at the camera. It reminds me of Girls' Last Tour, which is one of my personal favorite series. The premise, now in Girls' Last Tour, there are two young women that are wandering around kind of like Earth, but it's been abandoned by humanity through a series of events. Here, there's one. And this lone girl in a world abandoned by humanity is wandering around abandoned cities looking for either survivors or just a flare of humanity. Something like this, I don't know why, I really like series like this. I'm very eager to check this one out. The next series I get to talk about, I'm looking forward to so much. Let's talk about Kodansha's release in spring for Isaac. Now, Isaac has been on my radar for a minute, and it looks so much fun. It already has a level of popularity digitally, but now it's coming for the 2-in-1 omnibus treatment. The story starts off in AD 1620 in Europe, and it's slowly twisting into the 30-Year War. Various different churches are battling it out, and it's pure violence, chaos in this struggle for power. Swords, guns, battles, betrayals, mercenaries, and in the midst of all of this, there is a lone Japanese warrior on a singular mission to find and get the man who murdered his master, then fled to Japan. It's giving Golden Kamuy vibes, and I love that. Historical, action-packed, epic manga with some serious art, and I will definitely be reading this one. Wanted to end with the last series put out by Shuzo Oshimi. I've read Happiness. It's phenomenal. I recommend you do. Also, this is the same author as Blood on the Tracks as well, and I know a ton of you guys are really into that series. I still have to read it. The title here is Toxic Daughter Chi-chan. Now, Toxic Daughter Chi-chan apparently is a prequel to a newly released horror film titled Toxic Daughter, that's so interesting to me. I don't know when this has happened. At least manga that I've read, it's probably happened before, but this is really cool. So you can read this and then go watch the movie this is the prequel of. Awesome, sign me up. The story will follow a group of friends that are trying to save their mysterious classmate. However, that process in and of itself ends up taking them further and further into a dark rabbit hole, and things get darker and more mysterious in regards to literally everything about their classmate that they thought that they knew. However, I don't think I'll be doing a day one read of this one. I'm gonna read Blood on the Tracks first, which will give me time, or give this series time, to release a couple volumes so I can do a proper binge read as well, which is also something that I prefer. All right, thank you so much for watching today's video. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Let me know down below if you found a series that you might be interested in today's video. Make sure we've liked the video down below. It really does help support the channel. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button so you know when I upload next. Thank you so much for watching. We are going to be trying to do, 2 more videos before the end of the year. We have a vlog coming out and something special, okay? So keep a lookout for those. Once again, thank you so much for watching, you guys. Happy holidays, and I will see you in the next one, okay? Bye!